about math. You can always count on it, whether it's days in the month or money in the bank.
Math can help make dreams come true, from building a bridge to taking a trip to the moon.
And math is cool because everyone speaks the same language.
And part of understanding math is knowing all about measurement.
What is measurement?
How heavy is an elephant? How much can a dump truck hold? How hot can a volcano get? How tall are you?
How can we find out?
We have to measure. Measurement tells us things like how long or how far, how heavy and how hot.
So, what should we measure with?
Measurement is counted in units. Almost anything can be a unit of measurement, even your hand. But there's a catch.
12, 16, 20, 23. My computer is 23 fingers wide.
That's funny. My computer's 20 fingers wide.
How could they get two different measurements? It's the same computer.
It's the units that don't measure up. A hand can be big, or it can be small. So even though they're both hands, they're not really the same unit. That's why most people measure things in standardized units.
Like inches.
An inch is always an inch.
When we talk about length in inches, we're all speaking the same language.
12 inches.
Inches are part of what is known as the customary system.
The customary system is the one that measures length in feet and inches.
And weight in pounds and ounces.
Americans often use the customary system, but people in other countries and scientists all over the world prefer the metric system.
The metric system breaks down measurement into units of 10, which are easy to work with. For instance, there are 10 decimeters in 1 meter.
Measurement is the key to finding out
How long?
How heavy?
How much it can hold.
How warm?
once you know what you want to measure, you can decide which unit is the best to use.
Measuring length.
We measure length to find out how long something is.
For school, everyone was supposed to build a model bridge. Max decided to make his out of blocks.
For the length of the bridge, Max needed the longest block.
The blue block was long, the red block was shorter, and the green block was longer than both the blue and the red.
He thought that the bridge would work best if the blocks that held it up were half as long as the green block. To find out how long the green block was, he measured it in paper clips.
I put the end of the first clip right next to the end of the block, and then I lined up the other paper clip. The green block was 2 paper clips long.
Then Max looked for a block that was half the length of a green block, or 1 paper clip long.
This is it.
Here, Max, next time you want to measure the length of something, try this.
A ruler.
A ruler is a cool tool. It gives us a standard unit of measurement. All the units of length are lined up and numbered, which takes the guesswork out of how many. The longer the line, the bigger the unit of measurement. On this ruler, the longest lines tell you the inches. The second longest lines mark the half inches, and the next longest lines give the quarter inches. The second shortest lines mark the 1/8 inches, and the shortest lines mark the 16ths of every inch. Placing the 0 line at the end of the thing you're measuring, you just go to the other end and...
This block is 2 inches long. And this block is 4 inches long. It's a lot easier than counting paper clips.
Lauren made her bridge out of wood. She wanted the supports to be 3 inches long each. But even though she cut them on the 3-inch mark, her supports ended up being different lengths.
This one's too long.
Many rulers have a 0 that starts in a little bit from the end.
I should have been careful to measure from the 0 and not from the end of the ruler. That extra little bit threw my whole measurement off.
Exactly. So let's take a look at the customary units of length.
The inch is pretty small, about the length between Max's knuckle and the tip of his thumb. Put 12 inches together and you've got 1 foot.
That's about the size of my phys ed teacher's shoe.
3 feet equal 1 yard. That's like a giant step for Max. 5,280 feet equal 1 mile, or 1,760 yards.
Inches, feet, yards, miles. How do you know which unit you should use?
Depends on what you're measuring. 4 times around the track is 1 mile, but it's also 63,360 inches. That's why we usually use small units for small things and large units for large things. Which unit would you use to measure this?
I could measure that with a ruler, so I'd use inches.
And for this?
That's easy. A football field is measured in yards.
Which unit would you use for this?
That's a really long distance. I'd measure that in miles.
Let's make like scientists and get metric. Besides inches, most rulers also show one of the basic units of the metric system, the centimeter.
10 centimeters equal 1 decimeter, and 10 decimeters
Or 100 centimeters.
equal 1 meter.
And 1,000 meters equal 1 kilometer.
Which unit would you use to measure this?
A swimming pool is pretty big, so I'd use a big unit of measurement. Meters.
Which unit would you use for this?
For a little thing like this, I'd use a little unit of measurement. Centimeters.
For a long distance, like a road between 2 towns, you want the biggest metric measurement of all. Kilometers.
Short or long? Small or tall? How does this compare to that? You have to measure the length.
Who's the mathematical mastermind with the facts at his fingertips, solving crimes with calculated cool? That's me, Detective Digit. The case of the catastrophic cake. It was Saturday. I was on the way to Caroline's house. I figured her joint would be jumping on account of it being her birthday. But when I got there, the only thing jumping was some whole wheat toast. I said, "Carrie, you call this a party refreshment? Where's the cake?" And that's when I saw it. The sorriest excuse for dessert ever. What happened? I was determined to get to the bottom of the cake, the case.
I followed the recipe to the letter. If the recipe said 1, I measured 1. If it said 1/2, I measured 1/2. If it called for 2, I measured 2. I just can't understand why my angel food went pancake on me.
Pass the syrup, Caroline. I think I've solved the case of the catastrophic cake. Your numbers were absolutely, unquestionably, positively perfect. You got the 1s, the 1/2s, the 2s. But you forgot the most important part. Measurement means nothing unless you know the unit used. 1 what? 1 inch? 1 cup? 1 degree? This recipe doesn't say, so it breaks measurement's #1 rule. Never write a number without the unit. No wonder your birthday went bust. Fortunately, being a mathematical mastermind, I was able to perform some measurement magic. Caroline's birthday ended in tasty triumph.
Yeah, it was yummy.
My work here was through.
Measuring weight. We measure weight to find out how heavy something is.
You wouldn't believe everything Caroline carries to school. Her lunch is pretty light. But on music lesson days, she also brings her guitar, which is a lot heavier. And then there's her backpack loaded with books, the heaviest thing that she carries.
Bet mine's heavier.
Caroline's gonna win for sure.
Max's judgment seemed a little off balance to me. I decided it'd be better to use a cool tool to measure weight, like a balance scale.
When the two sides of the balance scale are even, then the two objects weigh the same. When the scale is not balanced, the lower side holds the heavier object, and the higher side holds the lighter object. Is Lauren's notepad heavier or lighter than Caroline's notepad?
Heavier.
Is Caroline's pencil case heavier or lighter than Lauren's pencil case?
Lighter.
Are Caroline's books heavier or lighter than Lauren's books?
They're balanced. They weigh the same.
Seems like Lauren's stuff is heavier.
Maybe I should clean this thing out to lighten the load.
Lauren wanted to send a pound of cookies to Caroline.
But the cookies were a lot heavier than the pound. To lighten the load, I did the natural thing.
Now the box of cookies weighed less than a pound. So, little by little, she added a few more things to make the scale balanced.
Perfect.
Crumbs and socks?
In the customary weights, the smallest unit is the ounce. A tarantula weighs about 3 ounces.
16 ounces equal 1 pound. A gray squirrel can weigh about that much.
The giant of the customary weights is the ton. It equals 2,000 pounds. A full-grown elephant can weigh more than 3 tons. That's over 6,000 pounds. Did you know that you weigh less on the moon than you do in your room?
If you weigh 70 pounds on Earth, you'll weigh a little more than 11 pounds on the moon. That's because the measurement of weight depends on gravity.
So wherever gravity is different, weight is different. That could get confusing.
Not if you measure mass. And your mass doesn't change, no matter where you are. In the metric system, mass is measured in grams.
This paperclip weighs about 1 gram.
The kilogram is equal to 1,000 grams.
My baseball mitt weighs just about 1 kilogram.
Whether we're looking for an object's mass or weight, measurement can help us find the answer.
Mathematicians!
Walk down any street and you can see the work of the mathematicians known as architects. They design how a building should look and how it should be constructed. Their number one tool, measurement. Every single door, window, and wall has to be measured carefully, right down to the last inch.
Math and measurement are the building blocks architects use every day to create amazing structures.
Armed with tape measures and imagination, architects turn dreams into reality. That's why they're the mathematicians of measurement.
Measuring capacity.
We measure capacity to find out how much something can hold.
For Mother's Day, Max decided to put some of his mom's houseplants in pretty new pots.
I had to figure out which pot to use for each plant.
For the tiny cactus, he chose the smallest pot.
The yellow pot was smaller than the blue, just the right size for the cactus.
The blue pot was larger,
The cyclamen fit inside it perfectly.
and the red pot was the largest.
Big enough even for my mom's geranium.
How much bigger was the red pot than the yellow pot? Max did a little experiment to find out.
Takes 8 yellow pots to fill 1 red pot.
So the red pot is 8 times larger than the yellow pot.
Pots are nice, but I prefer the customary units of capacity.
In the customary system, measuring capacity begins with the cup. You probably drink about that much every day at lunch. If you're really thirsty, you might have 2 cups, also known as a pint. There's 4 cups, or 2 pints, in 1 quart. And 4 quarts in 1 gallon.
In the metric system, capacity is measured in liters. A large bottle of soda is 2 liters. And in every liter, there are 1,000 milliliters.
A milliliter is barely a gulp.
It's time to play Count on Me, the game show that's got your number. This time we're playing Hold Everything. Each of our contestants has selected a container which they think has the greatest capacity. Lauren has chosen Skinny Minnie. Caroline's picked Wide Clyde. And Max has taken Wibble Wobble. We've provided each player with sand, which they must measure and put into their containers. The contestant with the container that can hold the most sand wins. Players, take your scoops. All set? Go! Lauren's off to a fast start. She's shoveling like a pro. Earlier, we asked her why she thinks her container has the winning edge.
Well, I chose Skinny Minnie because she's so tall. I'm guessing that the taller a container is, the more it'll be able to hold.
An impressive use of estimation from Lauren. But don't underestimate Caroline. Her container's already nearing capacity. What's her strategy?
I chose Clyde because he looked a lot wider than Minnie. Wider's got to hold more.
Max's choice of Wibble Wobble surprised everyone. It's tall, it's wide, but how big is it really?
Well, Wibble Wobble's kind of a mystery. It was perfectly flat when I started out, but it can expand. I think maybe it'll be able to hold more than either of the other 2.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have the first contestant to reach capacity, and it's Caroline! Oh, but isn't this an amazing development? Lauren's Skinny Minnie holds exactly the same amount of sand.
But mine was so much wider.
Even though things are different shapes, they can still have the same capacity. But what about Max and Wibble Wobble? Aha! We have a winner! Max's guess pays off. His container holds the most. And if you want to find out how much something can hold, measure its capacity.
Measuring temperature.
I like snow, so I like cold temperatures.
Well, I like the beach, so I'll take a sunny day and warm temperatures, please.
We can't control the temperature outside, but we can measure it with a thermometer.
I keep track of the temperature every day. On the thermometer, I read the mark where the colored liquid stops. The higher the degree, the warmer the temperature. Each mark shows a degree, which is the unit of measurement used for temperature. Yesterday, it was 29 degrees, and today it's 3 degrees higher. All week it's been going up. A few more months and beach weather will be here.
It still seems like a long way off to me. It's only 0 degrees outside.
No, it's not. It's 32 degrees, which is still cold enough for snow.
Actually, those 2 temperatures are the same. It's the systems that are different. In the customary system, degrees are measured in Fahrenheit. The point at which water freezes in the customary system is 32 degrees Fahrenheit. In the metric system, degrees are measured in Celsius, and the point that water freezes is 0 degrees Celsius.
Temperature affects you in a million ways you probably never even think about. It helps to know if something's too hot or too cold.
And to really compare temperatures, you have to measure them. How far is it from here to there? How heavy is the load? How much can the suitcase hold? How warm is it outside? We ask questions like this every day, and math gives us the tools to make everything measure up.